Okay. Good morning, everyone. I just wanted to introduce myself. My name is Brian Lang with BPG Home Inspection. I am the chief inspector here in the Arizona market. And I wanted to introduce everybody to Dan Pierce, who's one of my top inspectors here. Dan is also one of my top sewer inspectors as well, too. Along with that, Dan has just received his master inspector certification through Internahi and is performed hundreds of thousands of commercial inspections and residential inspections. I'm kidding, not hundreds of thousands, but he's a good inspector. I brought Dan in today because Dan is the one that's actually performing more of these sewer lateral inspections. So I asked Dan to be with us today because he's got more of the technical expertise. And he's the one that I like to bounce the technical questions off of as well too. So with that being said, I'd like to turn it over to Dan, and Dan's going to kind of go over the slides here. And this is an open kind of forum, so we're looking for any kind of questions or concerns. We decided to do the sewer camera inspection presentation because this is kind of a hot topic right now. We're seeing more and more realtors calling these out and asking for this inspection to be performed while the home inspection is being performed as well too. Dan, can you add anything else about that as well?
Yeah, it's a great time to be recommending them because we're finding a bunch of problems. We're in that time frame right now where we've got a lot of houses in Mesa, Tempe, Scottsdale where they've got old plumbing. A lot of places around the country they have really old houses, and in Arizona we're kind of limited how far we go back on housing. But when we look at those older houses that are still functional and people are still buying them, flipping them, they've got the old plumbing underneath them and nobody's really thinking about them. So that's why it's really a big deal to get this sewer lateral for your client. And just to decrease the liability, there's so much liability with these sewer lines, especially the old cast iron Orangeburg. If you have to replace that line, your clients are looking at a $10,000 bill, maybe a $15,000 bill. It gets really expensive really quick. So we want to make sure that they at least get a visual of the inside of the plumbing system, and that's where the sewer camera inspections come in. We're getting a lot of feedback from agents prior to opening up our sewer camera inspection service that it was really hard for them to get a sewer camera inspection from a licensed plumber. One, they were looking out because they would rather take a job that paid 10 times the amount than take a $300-400 sewer camera inspection job. And at the same time, they were booking days in advance. Like, yeah, we can get out to your property and do a sewer camera inspection, but it might be next week. We'd like to offer that service at the time of the home inspection. It provides so much more information to your clients and to you in the negotiation, term or negotiation time, where you can go in there and present that information to the seller and not push back the inspection period just because the plumber can't show up on time. So our company went out and bought a bunch of these sewer cameras. Dave and myself here in Phoenix kind of ran the pilot program. We kind of proved to the company that it was going to work, that it was going to be profitable, and at the same time, we're protecting our clients a lot better than a lot of the other home inspectors around here don't offer this service. They recommend the sewer camera inspection, but they can't perform that for you. So they have to find a plumber, or the real estate agent has to find a plumber. Even the home buyer sometimes has to source, I know somebody that maybe has a sewer camera that can do the job. Well, we can do that at the time of the home inspection. So if you just book us for a regular home inspection, at the end of the inspection, we'll pull out the sewer camera, we'll put it down to the line, and we'll give you a great visual of what's going on in the sewer system that day. It's a lot better than not looking at it at all.
I also like to say too that we're going to be an unbiased as well too. We're not there to sell anybody a line of plumbing goods or anything like that. We're there to give them and offer them a true view of what's going on with the sewer system. We're not there to try to sell them $1 million thing. That's not what we're about. It's just like our termite, because we do termite inspections as well too. We're not there to shell out a termite inspection treatment. If it's we don't do that. So that's what I like about it as well too. So with that being said, we'll kind of get going on the presentation here. So
go for it.
Awesome, thank you.
So go ahead, Dan.
The basics of the sewer cam. Now I want you guys to know if you have any questions, you want to bring up anything, topics of discussion during this presentation, please just bring it up. It's not a huge group today, so I'd be glad to answer any questions you have during the inspection. So your basic, what is a sewer camera inspection? I've got a little computer on a little dolly that I can carry around that has a 100-foot fiber optic cable on it with a self-leveling camera head that when I get to a property, I want to find those plumbing cleanouts because I want to see if there's any damage. I want to see if there's any debris or any risks in that plumbing system that's going to cost my client a lot of money after they move into the house. It is a pretty basic process. It only takes maybe a half hour on site, maybe an hour, depending on how complex the property is. But it's not anything that anybody, you can't learn how to do it. It's a specialized equipment, but we're just getting a visual of the inside of the pipe. Now, we're not plumbers, so we can't pull toilets and things like that. But the equipment that we use is very important for getting that information to the client. Without that camera on that long fiber optic cable, there'd be no way to get down into the system. And as a home inspector, I'm very happy to be able to do this for our clients at the time of the inspection. So what is the service lateral? They're the underground piping system that goes from your house out to the city or from your house out to the septic city or the septic tank. It's just the underground pipe that's horizontal that you're never going to be able to see above ground. And it's the homeowner's responsibility to take care of that. Anything that's on your property out to the city connection is your responsibility. I was actually at a house yesterday. I did the sewer camera about 3 months ago, and it was the seller selling his house now. He had a septic tank on site, and they decided to add an extra bedroom. So there was an extra occupant inside that house. So when I was there doing the sewer camera inspection, they were cleaning out the old septic tank and got it ready to go. When I went back there the other day, they had to put a new septic tank in because the city said you have 5 bedrooms now, you need a bigger septic tank. So the size of your old septic tank isn't big enough. So there's so many complications when it comes to the plumbing of your house, especially septic tanks, that getting that camera down there to get that visual, it just decreases the liability of both you and your client. So depending on what city you are in, most of the lines are going to go out to the street. Where you see those big manhole covers in the street, that's usually where they get access down to those lines. And that's where those lines will go out to. And you'll see a difference in the videos between like a black pipe or an iron pipe or a clay pipe, and it'll go into a white PVC pipe, and that's usually the city. And they're responsible for those connections. So we'll show you a video going up there. We'll use our camera like shown here. That's the red cable on the bottom of it and the camera head right off to the right hand side of the camera itself. And I carry a few things around with me, so it's very common for me to break these caps off. If you guys don't know what plumbing cleanouts are, they're those little black things off on the right hand side of the picture there. Most of our houses in Arizona are going to have black ABS caps out in front. Older houses, they might be in the backyard. Older houses than that, they might not even exist. So at that point, we've got to use our ladder and go up on the roof and go down plumbing vent if we can. But I carry a few things around with me: replacement caps, pipe wrench, really big deal, gloves, towels, flashlights, laptop, all that stuff goes into formulating a report that you and your client can then present to the seller. And in many situations, I'm doing sewer cameras for listing agents as well. I'm going in and providing a video that they can then share to the buyer, and just, our sewer camera or our sewer system is running good. And there's no better proof than an actual video of it. So how long does it take me to get a sewer camera inspection complete? If that's all I'm doing, it'll take me about an hour, hour and a half between doing the inspection itself and writing the report. It's not a long process, but it's the amount of information we can get by doing it. There's nothing else you can do besides the sewer camera inspection to look at the inside of the pipes to understand the condition of it. So
And Dan, do you need access into the home to do a sewer inspection?
It's a good idea to get access into the home so we can run some water, so we have a little lubrication in the pipe. So once we turn on a sink in the back room, it's good to follow that flow of water out just to kind of give us our bearings while we're in the pipe. We know what drain it's coming out of. Okay, that's the sink in the back corner and we know it's flowing out to the city and we can kind of follow the flow of water. So it's a good idea to get into a home. It's possible for me to do it without, but we really prefer to have that water going. When do we recommend our sewer camera inspections? When should you recommend it? Well, I don't think you should ever not recommend it. I don't think anybody should be in the position of talking a buyer out of getting a sewer camera inspection. Obviously, we're in the business of making money doing sewer camera inspections, but we're also providing a lot of good information and that you can have problems with those sewer pipes on a 5-year-old house, 20-year-old house, 100-year-old house. The problems are still going to be there. It just depends on what has happened to that pipe since it's been built, who installed it. Brand new houses might not have pipes that are lined up quite right. Or they might have a plug in the line where the builder put a plug because he didn't want to flush down a whole bunch of debris or something while they're building the house. And that plug doesn't get removed before they give the buyer their new home. So they go in, they start running their bathtub, flushing their toilet, and all of a sudden everything starts building up inside the house. It's an easy process of just removing that plug. The biggest thing that we see down here in Arizona is cast iron pipes. We're going to see a lot of rust and corrosion on the inside of the pipes. Most of these are going to be 30, 40 years old. So in replacement condition, sometimes they'll line the inside of the pipe, but usually they're rusted and corroded. Other things that we're going to run into, running into roots from large trees, big bushes that are growing on top of the clean out area or just the drain line in general. And on those long runs in the backyard where we have extra trees or we have extra property, if it's anything over 100 feet, we've got to have an extra set of cleanouts to get access into the line. Because we only have 100 feet of cable. It's kind of the industry standard. Any home with a no history of backups or clogs, if you know that house has got some issues, it's probably a better idea, in my opinion, to get a plumber to come and give you an estimate. I can sure provide that video for you and your client for negotiation reasons for $200, but I'm also going to be referring you to a plumber to get repairs done because we need to get something fixed and you need to understand, or your client needs to understand what it's going to cost to get those fixed. And a lot of these homes don't have cleanouts. We're often going to recommend that they put new cleanouts in or install them because we need access to the drain line. If anything backs up, especially on these old pipes, we need access through there. And you can only do so much when you have to go up on a roof and go down through the drain system that way. We lose between 15 and 30 feet when we go down through a vent stack. So at that point, I can only go about 75 feet in your lateral. Homes with obvious new cleanouts installed could also be an issue too. When they put these cleanouts in, if they don't pack the soil down right, that whole cleanout area will settle. And now you'll have pipes that run and then they'll drop and then they'll come back up. And that's called a belly. We'll create a belly at a cleanout if they were just installed and it wasn't compacted. So that's low spots for water pooling in the yard is a good indication that you have a leak somewhere underground. That, you know, if everything is dead, but you've got one green spot, that's a good indication you've got a sewer line break. That'll happen in cast iron pipes, clay pipes, ABS pipes if it's in the wrong location and it breaks big enough. Anytime you're buying a new property, great, get that done. Yeah.
Yeah, even on the new construction, Dan, I've heard that a lot of the new builders, you know, not new construction, the builders are actually now doing a sewer camera inspection before handing the keys over to the new homeowner. What's your thought on that? Is that a good, did they do a true sewer inspection, or is it kind of just a real quick stick the camera down here and you're good to go?
What they do is I've talked to some of these camera operators, and it's usually a bigger company that gets contracted to come in and do a bunch of houses at once. So a lot of these plugs are still in the line, so they're not giving you a full inspection because they're not going between the clean out and the city. They might be able to give you a good understanding of what's underneath the house. That's great, but that's only 50% of it. We've still got that running outside where most of the damage happens because of tree roots, because of construction equipment, especially on these new houses. You've got big tractors running over the top of these pipes. Anything can happen. It's only a good idea to get a third party to come in and do it. These in-house inspections are good and they help give you a peace of mind, but you know, how much of that pipe are you actually getting a look at?
Absolutely. That's a good point. Yeah.
Price ranges on sewer inspections here in Arizona, which I think most of you are in Arizona. We're at 195. 195 will come out and do a sewer camera inspection on the property, give you a complete video of all the pipes underground, and give you a link to that you can use for negotiations. Most plumbers in the area, you're going to be $300 to $500. I can't provide any estimates for those repairs. I can't tell you that this is going to cost $7,000 if I come back next week to do it because I'm not a plumber. I can't provide those estimates to you. So that's where we can't provide all the services that a plumber can, but we still provide you all the information to make those negotiations if you need to do it. What you're paying for out of that 195, you're getting in-depth report. You're paying for my ongoing training. I mean, I took probably 2 weeks worth of training with sewer cameras before we started this pilot program. There's a lot of information out there in different areas of the country. You're going to have different pipes. So it's good to get training, local training where you're at. Unbiased information, that's one of the biggest things. Being a home inspector, a third-party home inspector, I don't work for anybody but the client. And I'm not going to be making any more money after the inspection. Depending on what I write up, it doesn't matter whether I say needs a complete sewer line or it needs nothing done to it. It doesn't matter to me. So that's where my unbiased comes in. The videos that we provide are going to be high quality videos. A lot of the times I'll actually walk around the property and show you where the cleanout is, or I'll show you what bathroom I was using for the water. It just helps give a good visual to the client and peace of mind. And when you coordinate this with your home inspection, it's a really easy process. It adds about a half hour, 45 minutes onto the home inspection. So the window gets a little bit bigger, but we get it done on the same day, and I can provide you those same results that a plumber can within that 12 to 24-hour window. So I think by going with us, you're going to be saving a lot of headaches just trying to find a plumber to do the job. And you'll get that report, that turnaround that much quicker. So a little bit of show and tell here. So I know this picture was taken in a driveway. This is going up into a garage. We've got some leaves sitting there. That's kind of our telltale sign that that's a low spot. That's where everything is collecting. And you can see that the driveway has dropped down a little bit. So this is common, typical settlement, probably has some rain gutters or some bad grading around the house and water wants to pool up. Anyway, that driveway is settled and the sewer pipes are below that driveway. So what happens when those sewer pipes move around, they get an offset in them. So you get two pipes like this and the driveway settles. And now you've got two pipes that aren't lined up anymore. You can see the gap on the right-hand side of that picture there. There's no question that it needs to be repaired because what you're doing right now is you're introducing more and more water, moisture underneath the slab, and you're just going to get more and more settlement. So this is one of those situations where what came first, the driveway or the sewer problem? Either way, they both have to be replaced. And without that sewer camera inspection, you wouldn't know that. There would be no surprises in it. And it's always better to have that information before you buy the house than after you buy the house. So the buyer walked away from the deal. They were grateful for the sewer camera inspection because they could make that wise decision. Repair like this, you're not just talking about the sewer line repair, you're talking about the sewer line and the driveway. They might be able to jack that driveway up. They might have to re-pour it, replace it all. So, my guess is you're probably between $15,000 and $20,000 for that complete job. So it's a big job. So happy ending. Buyers are happy. Agents are happy. They didn't go into a money pit, and that's why they got a sewer camera inspection. Cleanouts are usually found outside the home, near the foundation, in the basement, or in the crawl space. Typically, like we talked about, they're going to be on the front of the house, not on the back of the house. But sometimes they are. Some cleanouts are buried or non-existent. That's probably one of the biggest pet peeves that I have is not being able to find cleanouts because everybody knows 311. What do? You have to call 311 before you dig. But if I can't find cleanouts, am I just supposed to show up and start digging? I could hit landscape wires, I could hit plumbing wires, I could hit anything. So I've got to be careful about where I can find them. If I can't find plumbing cleanouts and I can't get through that roof vent, we're kind of limited because I won't be pulling toilets. I won't be doing any plumbing work that increases the liability because remember, this isn't our home yet. This isn't my client's home yet. This is somebody selling their home. We don't own it. So frequent frequently those caps are going to break when I take them off. These are examples of the caps. The top right is your typical ABS bullhorn cleanouts. They're going to crisscross underground. So the one on the left is going to go right, and the one on the right is going to go left. That just gives us good sweeping flow, so we can throw that camera down there and get a good view of it. Those square caps are typically what you'll look for. You can just grab a wrench, open it, close it. They should just be hand tight, but they should always be on there. And then the one in the middle is an obvious broken PVC pipe. And we need to replace that. There's different caps that you can look for, and most of them, as long as it's covering up the pipe and stopping the sewer the sewer smells from coming up, that's all we're looking for. Root intrusion is a big one in Arizona, especially with our mesquite trees and our trees that we love to plant in the front, our little tiny front yards that we have no room for. So the root intrusion, the root system of the plant is going to penetrate the pipe, often leading to backups, because what does it do? It slows down flow of water. Any toilet paper or debris or anything that goes down that pipe is now going to get caught on the roots, and it's actually going to get worse and worse and worse until that gets cleared out. A lot of the times these roots are just cleared out with hydrojet maintenance or roto rooting. Depending on the condition of the pipe, it just may need to be maintained. A lot of people just maintain these and keep cleaning them out instead of replacing the pipe, but leave that up to my client to make that decision. All right. Next thing we're looking at is belly in the pipe. That's the low point that we talked about where the cleanouts could settle, and you'll see it in the videos if you ever watch the video, that the water builds up and you can see the water level increase in a belly and then decrease as you get out of the belly. That just means the pipes have dropped down more, and as that water evaporates, everything that was sitting in that belly is now going to dry on the side of your pipe and cause more backups. So it's good to call these out. Not every belly is a big major issue, but it can turn to one, and the client should know about it. Misaligned joints, this happens again with pipe movement, any type of settlement, any type of shifting of the soil, driving over sections like this. Clay pipes are notorious for moving around because they're shorter sections and there's a lot of connections. With clay pipe, you've got shorter sections and a lot of these little cracks where the roots come in and they push the pipes around, and you'll often see those offset. Sometimes it's a major issue. Most of the time it's just offset a little bit and it's not leaking. We try to call it out every time. Debris inside of the pipe, that's very common for us to find, especially in those big bellies. You can imagine once you start pushing a rock or something down in the belly, it'll never get flushed out of that low spot. So everything just keeps building up and slowing down, and before you know it, you've got a backup and you've got a collapsed line and nothing can get out of it again. So once that line collapses, which is pretty typical with Orangeburg, if you are familiar with Orangeburg around Arizona, it's one of the worst pipe materials you can have. It'll build up with debris just like this, and
that's Orangeburg on the left, right, Dan?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, and then you kind of create a trench in between the pipe and the floor as well too, of the where the wall of the pipe used to be, and now it's all debris. So I understand too that there's some inspectors get a little nervous sticking their camera down there when we have that as well too, because they literally can get their head stuck in the mud, right?
Yeah, there's no bottom of the pipe anymore. It's completely gone. So, not only are you
I was going to ask what you meant by the orange whatever. I was like, what is that?
Yeah, Orangeburg was installed 50s, 60s is usually the homes that we find it in, but it's gift wrapping paper, the inside of gift wrapping paper, the cardboard or a toilet paper roll. Just take that and cover it with tar paper. That's basically what it is. It's just cardboard covered with tar.
What part of the valley you're seeing more Orangeburg? This would be a good one for our realtors out there. What parts of the valley you see more Orangeburg?
Tempe, some of Scottsdale, some of Mesa. Most that we're seeing is in Tempe. I don't know why, but yeah, I don't know the history of the Orangeburg, when it was put in and why it was put in, why it was used instead of cast iron, but it's usually Tempe. There's a good chance if you've got a house from the 50s, 60s in Tempe and there's no clean outs, you need to get a sewer camera inspection, because there's a good chance that is cast iron or Orangeburg, and it'll all have to be removed.
Yeah.
All right, rust and scale buildup. This is what you're gonna see on the inside of cast iron pipe. So the inside of metal, you can imagine once it gets wet, like any metal does, it rusts, corrodes. So the inside of these pipes, they look good on the left. That's a bad pipe on the right. So that's excessive corrosion on the right-hand side. And it just rusts a hole into the side of the pipe until you start leaking water out of it. And that little sharp section right there is just gonna grab all the debris that goes down that pipe too. So this is one of those situations you might get a plumbing company to come in and line that pipe on the right. They might say, you know, we'll do this for 70% of the cost. We'll give you a 10-year warranty. You won't have any problems with it. And I ran into this situation several months ago. I did a townhouse up in South Scottsdale townhome. And all the rest of them, there was probably 10 of them track home that looked like a community. But one of them had burnt down, the house that we were inspecting, and they rebuilt it. So it looked the same, but they didn't replace everything. It burnt down to the ground. So everything below the pavement was still original, and it was a lined cast iron pipe. It probably looked like this rust scale buildup on the inside of it. So they decided to just sell a liner instead of replacing the pipe. And the best thing I could figure in that situation is the insurance company didn't want to replace the pipe. They just wanted to put a liner in there. I can't understand any other reason for it, but you can understand looking at the rust scale buildup, why this would be bad. Anything flowing down that pipe might catch on the corners, catch on the edges, you know, and you take the diameter of the pipe to say 3 inches and you build up years and years of rust and corrosion, and now you're dealing with a 2-inch pipe. So you've got a big difference in diameter of your pipe too over the course of time with this rust and scale buildup. There's always critters, especially in these older neighborhoods. Cockroaches are probably the most common. If you've got a cockroach problem inside your house, there's a good chance that you have a broken clay pipe in the backyard or a broken cast iron pipe letting those cockroaches in. I see it all the time. I see those little bugs crawling through the pipe and then they come up right through the drain. But you also get rats. Roof rats will chew right through the Orangeburg pipe and into the side of it to get access down into the water. And snakes, you know, just about any small animal can get down there, but cockroaches are about my biggest thing I see. Client of ours scheduled a sewer camera inspection with his home inspection. A home that was 70 years old. She knew to suggest the home inspection or the sewer camera inspection of the client. When they found Orangeburg pipe, they found several tree roots going into that Orangeburg pipe, and the pipe collapsed. The house was being sold as is. This was one of those Tempe homes. This was mine about a year ago. The two quotes for the repair were $9,000 and $11,000. So the as is house, every house, I just learned this recently, and you may know this as real estate agents too. Every agreement or every thing says as is, even if it isn't or being sold as an as is property, it still says as is. You can still negotiate. And people are happy to negotiate, especially on older houses, you know, because they don't know. But we want to be the hero for your clients. We want you to be the hero for your clients. I'd rather you guys be the quick hero for your clients because you bring me work and I support your work. I want you to bring up the sewer camera inspection to your clients because it will decrease your liability. It will bring them more information that they didn't know about. And a lot of home buyers don't even think about doing the sewer camera inspection until after the fact, and then they regret it. And we can provide that service for a lot cheaper than a lot of plumbers. So I strongly suggest you at least give us a shot. Let us provide you a couple reports and see how it goes. Most realtors know and trust their home inspectors. That's why we recommend the sewer camera inspection. Why do they trust us? Because we're third party. We're unbiased. We're not involved with the builder, the seller, anything like that. Sewer inspections are not included with your regular home inspection. That's why it has to be an add-on. It's additional services. It's like a $5,000 camera. And I broke a camera lens or a camera head a couple weeks ago, $700 to swap that out. These are expensive pieces of equipment that need to be used and taken care of. So we're hoping that our numbers and we can start doing a lot more of them. Yeah, go ahead.
How much is so an average home inspection is blank, termite is blank, and then how much would a sewer inspection be?
$195.
Oh, the way you're talking, I'm like, what?
Yeah, 195. We're at $200, and that's all we're gonna charge to provide that video and a report to it. Now, yeah, when you compare us to the plumbers in the area, they're gonna be able to provide estimates, and they're gonna say, if we were to repair this, we'll take off the cost of the sewer camera inspection. I'm not saying that's a bad situation if you know there's some problems going on with it, but you can see the report on the screen. We provide pictures, we provide a link to the video. And this is usually sufficient enough to negotiate, to bring to the negotiation tables. And most of the time, it's better if you don't have the sellers fix anything, if you just ask for money off, but you need to know what kind of money you're talking about. Is it 5,000? Is it 10,000? So.
Yeah, I had a buyer, I'm glad you mentioned Tempe. I have a buyer right now in escrow purchasing an older home in Tempe, and it was remodeled. And you could see on the concrete, someone at some point had done sewer work, and the current owner didn't know anything about it. But you know, you could tell it had been done. So my client decided, you know what, I do want to get a sewer inspection. We initiated that. We'll come to find out, from the remodel work, there was tons of construction crap down one of the lines, and a plumber had to come in and flush it out. So very, very interesting. I didn't even thought about the remodel work, you know.
Workers are dirty. Some workers are really dirty, and these new houses too, they're getting better about filling the bathtubs up and leaving the drain closed so the debris doesn't go down while they're doing the work inside the house. But yeah, we see that a lot. How much was it to get that line cleared out? Do you remember?
The plumber, he charged, it was somewhere between like 550, or it was under $600 to flush it.
That's not a terrible fix, but it's still.
It's not, yeah.
Well, like you said, you probably used one of the procedures like high pressure water jetting to remove some of the scale from the pipes of the inside wall, but they can use the same process to remove that construction debris from the inside of the pipe as well. So they'll push that long cable down there and have a little rotating head on it that power washes everything inside that pipe and gets rid of the debris. But I'm glad you guys caught that. That was bad. I did a new house yesterday. It burned down last year and they rebuilt the house. And it had some slow drains on the left side of the property in one of the bathrooms. So they called me up to do a sewer camera inspection. And I ran the camera down both pipes. There was absolutely nothing wrong with it. Took me like 20 minutes, but I went back into the bathroom and yeah, there was construction debris in the drain of the bathtub and there was construction debris in the drain of the sink. That's what was causing the slowdown. It had nothing to do with the sewer line.
Well, I think we're going to be running into this just even more as you have properties that are getting remodeled in, like you said, the older parts of, I mean, we even have them in Gilbert, Chandler, you have Old Town Scottsdale, Tempe, you have like Arcadia. So all these areas are being built out again. But yeah, if they're not changing out the plumbing, you're going to have issues. So, and I think Brian and I think even a while ago, I mean, the tree roots are serious. And if you have a pool like that, the trees are, they're just trying to get to the water, right? So.
Yeah, we have sisu trees in the valley. Sisu trees are one of the worst notorious trees for trying to find water, and they can do a heck of a number on the sewer lines as well too. So, I'll, like Dan said too, if somebody asks to, if I'm doing an inspection and they're, hey, we're thinking about doing a sewer inspection as well. Sure, if it's a concern to you, it's a concern to us. So it's, like I said, it's a peace of mind for our buyers. There's a lot, first time home buyers, they've got a lot of questions as well too. And I think with Dan's sewer inspections that he performs, and the way he talks to them as well too, really educates. That's what we're trying to do. This is a goal of ours. We educate our clients. We just don't throw them a piece of paper and a report attached to it. We're educating. We're always going to be there as well too. Mari, you've heard me say it a million times as I'm walking out the house. Hey, I'm always going to be here for you. So that's what we mean. We mean we're going to be here with your client to offer advice, to give them, some suggestions if they have concerns. So that's what we mean. And
I was going to say, I appreciate that. It's also, You guys are very calming. So as much as you're going through and you have to list everything, whether code or not code or things that you have issues with, you answer the questions for the home buyer, and it's not like it's already overwhelming to get the report. So I think you guys
Absolutely.
help
Yeah.
de-escalate that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we understand
So-
how overwhelming those reports are because we write them, you know, we get home and it takes us 2 hours to write the reports and we send it and we see there's a $60 or a 60-page report that the client's gonna open up in their breakfast the next morning. We understand that. That's why I always tell them, call me tomorrow. You see something on the report that you don't remember talking about, or you have a question about, just give us a call. You know, sometimes it gets to be a lot. Some clients get to be a lot, but that's okay. That's what we're here for and we're happy to do.
Thank you very much, everybody. I appreciate
thank
your
you.
time. Yeah, does anybody have any other questions or concerns or?
That's what I was gonna ask. Who has questions, you guys? We got Brian and Dan on here. Don't be quiet.
Yeah, I mean, if something comes to you, just, just give us a shout. Like I
Are
said,
you
Dan's
guys-
stands there.
Besides the sewer, are you seeing anything that's standing out to you guys this year that you've been, I know we went through a couple years of like the roof rats, rodents and attics, a
Yeah.
roof.
Yeah.
So anything going on this year? Is it are you inspecting more new builds or?
Yeah, we're doing new builds, a lot of new builds. As you know, the new builders are actually giving you more of incentive to buy, lower interest rates, all that as well too. But you got to understand as well too that our biggest concern, and think Dan and I have had a lot of conversation, is these older houses with cast iron. They're catching a lot of paper and they're catching a lot of debris as they go down the sewer lines. And those are the ones that we're seeing more of. So, I mean, you can get away with not having to reline or anything like that. But David suggests, my other inspector, you can mill those as well too. They put chain mail and they mail them out and they smooth them out. So they can be done. They can be fixed as well too without having to replace them all.
Okay, awesome.
All right, so we'll leave it off of that. So if anybody needs any questions answered, feel free to give us a call or a
Yeah.
stream.
Okay.
24-hour, 7 days a week. You can book us online at bpginspections.com. Even if you just, I know you guys work like all golly hours of the night trying to get stuff done. So if you need to book an inspection in the middle of the night, the computer's always on. So you can book it, you can look at times, you can just check a price. If you need to check a price, you can kind of make up with an address, you can kind of figure out how much it's going to cost, and then ancillary services as well too. Don't forget, we do free termite inspections as part of their service. So when you're doing a home inspection, we do the termite inspection as well. And we're all licensed termite inspectors as well too. So we write the full report and submit it to the Department of Agriculture as well. Thank you very much, everybody. And
Thank you guys. This was awesome, Brian and Dan. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you guys.
Thank you.